Hello again. So this is video number 2 where we're going to be talking a bit more in depth about some of the stuff that we talked about in the first video. In the first video, we talked about some of the basic steps that you need to take in order to position yourself for high limit credit cards. And we talked a bit about how you should pay your cards down if it has extremely high balances, and how you should keep your cards at 30% utilization or less, etc. etc. You know the works. So in this video, we're going to be talking a bit more in depth about it. And what I'm going to be saying is going to seem very, very simple, very, very easy to implement. However, it is the most difficult. Out of the 3 videos that we're going to be doing today, video 2 is going to give you the advice that is going to be the most difficult in this journey. And the reason why it's going to be so difficult is because it requires for you to be consistent in what we talked about in the first video and what we're going to talk about in the third video. Consistency is the key here. It's one thing to have the steps, and it's one thing to apply the step, but it's another thing to be consistent in applying those steps month after month. Because, sometimes things happen. People get laid off from their jobs. People hit financial snags. Life is life. Things happen. And then sometimes we just let life get in the way. Sometimes we let our desires get in the way. Sometimes we let our habits get in the way. And it causes us to fall behind on us handling the things that we have to handle. So this consistency part is going to be very difficult for a lot of people. What we talked about with keeping your utilization at 30% or less, that is going to be difficult for some people to do month after month after month after month. But this is important though, because after a few months of good behavior, and we talked about what good behavior was in the first video, after a few months of good behavior, what you can do is you can either apply for another card, right? Or you can request limit increases on your current cards. But you can't request a limit increase if you're constantly maxing out your card, or if you're constantly showing utilization at 70%, 80%, 60%, and so on and so forth. You're only in position to ask for these credit limit increases if you're not consistently being late on your bill, if you're consistently showing the proper utilization, if you're using your card the correct way, making sure that you're paying something on the due date. Those are the things that is going to position you to be able to say, hey, I need a credit limit increase. And for them to say, okay, you need that good behavior, that consistent good behavior. Consistency is key here in this journey. So, if you have 3 open credit cards, 3 or less open credit cards, it may be ideal for you to apply for a totally new credit card and then just get your high limit there and start off with a high limit with a new credit card. If you have a bunch of different credit cards and you don't necessarily have enough leverage to manage all of those credit cards, then maybe the best thing for you to do would to be increase the limit on some of those credit cards. You may want to call those credit cards companies and just increase the limit. But you have to be sure to display good behavior with these cards, or you will mess up your credit and you will delay your financial success if you're not displaying good behavior with these cards. And the key to the good behavior is, again, consistency. It's one thing to do it 1 month. Maybe you do it 2-3 months in a row. I've seen people display that good behavior for about 6 or 7 months or so, and then they'll get the credit limit increase, and then they'll go right back to doing what they was doing before. They'll go right back to maxing the card out. They'll go right back to extremely high utilization. But no, you have to keep it going even after you get that credit limit increase. You have to make using your card properly a habit. And that is the problem with some people. It's not a habit for them. It's a means to an end. But when it comes to credit and credit cards, you can't have that means to an end mentality. Because once you get to that end, you're going to go and do whatever you want to do. But if you turn it into a habit, that's beneficial for you, because these are behaviors that you're always going to implement regardless. And you want to turn these things into a habit. You want to turn these behaviors into a habit. You want to turn having your card at 30% or less into a habit. You want to turn paying your card on time into a habit. You want to turn using your card properly into a habit. You want to turn avoiding interest into a habit. Because if you're able to turn these things into a habit, you're able to leverage these behaviors and these habits to create everlasting, sustainable wealth that not only you can benefit from, but your children. Create habits out of consistency. And that is also a way to build relationships with banks too, is through your habits. Good financial behavior. So even when you get your credit limit increase, don't go back to doing what you was doing before. Continue to stick to that habit. Now, for some people with credit limit increases, it is going to become more difficult for them to stick to staying at 30% utilization if they don't have the income to scale. And we're going to talk about that in the next video. Because you really have to be at a certain income level to be able to leverage and use a high limit credit card properly. Or what's going to happen is, one, you can trap yourself in low utilization. Two, you may use your card for a business deal or real estate deal or whatever, or some type of course or whatever. But if you don't have that income to cover that into employ that utilization method, that high limit credit card is going to swallow you alive. Swallow you whole and spit you out. We're going to talk about that a little bit more in the next video. Thank you guys for tuning in into this video. Thank you for tuning in to the first video. And I will see you on the next video. Bye.